Hi, I'm Allison Gunter with the University of Missouri Extension. I am a nutrition and health specialist in Dallas County, and today I have with me
Allie.
And Allie, how old are you?
16.
16. So Allie is going to make for us a recipe that we have called pizza wraps. It's a really easy recipe that my 8-year-old likes all the way up to my 18-year-old stepson. And Allie thinks that these are really good too. So this is something that you can use for the entire family. And it is very, very versatile. So we have all of our ingredients here, and I'm gonna go ahead and run through those with you. So the first ingredient that you're gonna need is tortillas, okay? And the recipe calls for whole wheat tortillas. And the thing about this is, obviously get whatever you can, get whatever's available. But I will say that I was a nutrition program associate for many years, and I have made a lot of these pizza wraps. And the kids that I had in classes, there was one time that I went to the grocery store and they didn't have the wheat tortillas, and so I had to get the regular white tortillas. The kids did not like them as much. I'm not really sure why. I don't know what the difference was, but for this particular recipe, they loved the whole wheat tortillas. And as they say, you're supposed to make half of your grains whole, so this would be a good way to do it, and it's a good way to get the snacks in for your kids. So we've got our whole wheat tortillas. We have pizza sauce is the next ingredient that it calls for. I do want to let you know though, if you don't have any pizza sauce at home, the way you can adapt this, you can take a can of tomato soup or tomato sauce, and you can add any kind of spices or seasonings that you want to it. So we've got garlic, there's Italian seasoning, basil, if you want to put oregano in there, parsley, any of those things, you can put that in there and it's going to make it taste like the pizza sauce. So just because you don't have a jar of pizza sauce doesn't mean that you can't do this recipe. You can adapt it. All right, we also have our cheese. And the fun thing about this is you can use whatever kind of cheese you want. We have Colby Jack, and then we also have mozzarella that we're going to use. And our last ingredient is our pepperonis, okay? So the recipe calls for turkey pepperonis. And I'm going to show you on this plate, we've already got some out. So on this side is your turkey pepperoni. On this side is the regular pepperoni. So you can kind of see a difference between those. And if you have picky eaters at home, or kids that are very visual, that are going to look at this and they're going to say, ooh, those don't look right. Ooh, they're going to be gross. I'm not going to like them. Something that I do with my own kids to kind of sneak this in, because the turkey pepperoni is going to be healthier for you, it's going to have less fat, is mix these two together. So if you put some of the regular pepperoni and some of the turkey pepperoni, they never even taste it. They don't even know that there's a difference on there. So it calls for either butter or margarine or cooking spray. Allie's already decided that she's going to use cooking spray. We need to plug it in. The one thing about the griddle, at home, before you start using a griddle or a skillet, you can use a skillet for this. You don't ever want to turn it on until pretty close to time when you are getting ready to cook. And the reason being is because these get really hot really fast. They'll start to smoke. They'll start to smell really bad. And especially if you're working with younger kids, they could get burnt. So Allie's got her tortillas. She's going to go ahead and put those down. There's your sauce. The one thing about the sauce, when you're putting the sauce on there, is you only want to put sauce on one side, one half of the tortilla. And the reason being is if you put it all over the tortilla, or if you put all your toppings all over the whole tortilla, then when you go to fold it over, it makes a huge mess. And it's not a pretty picture. And like I said, I've made this recipe a lot with a lot of kids, and there were some kids that didn't listen to me. They thought they knew better, and they kind of learned the hard way what I was talking about. They would flip it over and they'd go, oh, I see now what you're talking about. So which one do you want? You want cheese or pepperoni?
Pepperoni.
All right, so this is where I say if you just kind of mix the pepperonis together, they never even taste that turkey pepperoni that's in there. And the turkey pepperoni is going to be less greasy. It's a little bit lighter in the way that it tastes. And so because of having less grease, it's going to be less fat. All right, so Allie's got her cheeses here. I'll let you pick them. The fun thing about this too is you can mix up the cheeses and put whatever cheese on there that you want. If you like for it to be maybe a little bit spicy, if you want to try some pepper jack cheese, you can. There are lots of variations to this recipe. You don't have to use pizza sauce, and you don't have to use pepperoni. If you wanted to use barbecue sauce and put some diced chicken on there and then some cheddar cheese, that would be really good. If you wanted to use, I had kids in class that would tell me, you can't hear it, I'm sure, but it's sizzling right now. Kids in class would tell me that they used buffalo, like the buffalo wing sauce in place of the pizza sauce. And then they would put chicken on there and some cheese on there, and they loved that. So your imagination is endless. You can make this a breakfast one and do scrambled eggs. I like lots of veggies. I know Allie's not a veggie lover, a huge veggie lover anyway, but you know, if it was me, I would have green peppers and mushrooms and onions, and if you like olives, and you know, you can put all that kind of stuff on here. If you have some hamburger meat that you want to use, if Canadian bacon, if you've got just some ham at home and you want to toss it on there, anything. So you want to kind of lift it up and see how it's doing brown wise. So all she's done is she's going to check and just kind of see how it's doing. We can hear it sizzling a little bit. We can smell it. That's kind of the way you're able to check it, is she just takes the spatula and kind of lifts it up and sees how brown it's getting on that side. And really, it's just your own preference. If you like for it to be a little bit more brown on bottom, then you're going to leave it on there a little bit longer. If you like for it to not be brown because you think that's burnt, then you can flip it over and take it off as soon as you want to. That's really, really up to you. It's totally your preference.
Should I flip it over?
Yeah, check it and see how it's doing. Is it getting brown? So all she's doing is flipping it over, and she kind of presses it down. So when you do that, they're not as flimsy anymore. You can tell, once we get it on the plate, we'll show you. It started to change in color a little bit, and that's basically how you know it's done. You know, since it's pizza, you don't want it to get too crusty. All right, if this was a quesadilla, it might be a little bit different. I think it smells good, and I think it looks good, so I think we're pretty good to go. There's one. There is two. I'll go ahead and have you, turn it down. Always make sure you turn it down when you're done. So these are our pizza wraps, and they are pretty simple. They are really good. The kids were eating them earlier, and they really liked them. It's just an easy, fun recipe. It's very versatile. Another thing, as we're standing here next to the griddle, I remember that I need to tell you guys. So griddles can be very hot. Griddles are different than your skillets that you have on a stove, just like you wouldn't want to touch a stove. So you can see me touching this. What I'm touching, I know it's all black, but all the way around the griddle is basically your safe zone, okay? So you can touch this part. It's the middle part, and you'll be able to feel it. You'll be able to smell it. You'll be able to see kind of some smoke coming off the top of it. When I did this before with kids in class, they would be really bad about putting their arm down. So if you just make sure when you're cooking, guys, you always kind of keep your elbow up when you're flipping, when you're turning, things like that. Just keep your elbow up. That will keep you from having your hand down and touching that part of the griddle that you're not supposed to, and trying to avoid getting burned. All right, so again, here is our pizza wraps. Really good, simple, easy recipe. Hope you enjoy it. And we thank you for joining us.